Good to know you're still with us on the Signature Show. And joining me now is Professor Jude Udenta. Professor Jude Udenta is a professor of government and public administration. Professor Udenta, at one point, for a period of about 5 years, was the chairman of ASU, ASUT branch. My pleasure to welcome you to the Signature Show, Professor.
Thank you.
Well, for 14 years, the Oresanya report has been gathering dust. Yes, I acknowledge the fact that a couple of times governments had talked about it, looked at it, made the noise around it. But the truth is that for 14 years, nothing was done. And suddenly, the new government is saying, we want to go back to it. We want to implement some of the items in that report. For so many people, they think this intervention is coming too late, that even the currency of suggestions may not really be something we still have to run with. Do you think it's coming too late?
Yeah, thank you. First, about coming too late, I do not think so. Because whatever is good will remain good. Because 14 years, yes, is a lot of time. But when we look at the goal of the Stephen Oresanya report, which is about enhancing efficiency and then restructuring, then that becomes the focus. It's never too late to talk of efficiency. It's never too late to talk of restructuring or reorganization. These were the things that led to that particular report. Yes, maybe for political exigency, particularly because some of you that are in politics, you understand that sometimes people don't have the will. There's what is called the will, the political will to take some risks. And that happened to Goodluck Ebele Jonathan. Being a good man, when the report came to him, and following the 2011 crisis, so he couldn't enter into that mayhem at that particular time. Then he continued to wait through until he left. Buhari himself came in, and we know Buhari and his own systems. And that's how, even, there was a white paper of 2014. And then Buhari came on, the second white paper, 2020, 2022. But still, nothing happened. So I do not think it is like coming too late. The question is, are we really ready? Because there's a man called Chukwemeka Megwojuku, Dim, Dike Diorama, one of them. He says, he once said, like in 1982, that we prefer posturing to action. The question I have now is, are we sure that we are not posturing? Because if we are not posturing, then let us see it. Because the issue is, we want to cut the cost of administration. That's what we are being told. We want to cut the cost of administration. And is it true that we want to really cut the cost of administration?
Well, that's something we find out in the coming weeks and months. But you are very at home with some of the suggestions in the Oresanya report.
Okay.
And from what I know, it will mean that some ministries will be merged, some will be scrapped, a lot of rejigging in the entire system. What kind of impact is it going to have? But also remember that in our country, when you are doing something, people are going to read other meanings to it. What are the implications of doing this now?
People are looking at, people are talking of job losses. That's what people are talking about. I am not looking at that particular angle because it is not true. I have been in the public service since 1989. And under the military, from 1990 to 1994, they came up with this idea of reorganization, this kind of thing. And I want to use my own university, ASUT then, after the creation of Enugu State. The military administration first told us to reduce the number of departments. So we had public administration, business administration, marketing and supply, and CRD in one department. So I'm trying to say something. Now we have these 4 departments, almost 5, in one department under Mr. Udaya. So there was no HOD public nutrition, there was no HOD business nutrition, there was no HOD marketing, there was no HOD CRD. Are we together? So you have only one HOD. So what I'm trying to drive at is that we are talking of elite losses. The biggest problem of Nigeria, because when we're talking of job losses, yes, some people are not going to be HODs. Because for every HOD, you have to give him maintenance, what do you call it? There's some money.
Allowance, yeah?
Allowance. You have to have that honorarium. You have to have that allowance for maintenance of the HOD. So instead of having 5 HODs, we now have 1 HOD.
Instead of having 5 ministers, we might have 1 or 2.
Yeah, so because the truth of the matter is that the question you have just asked me is, throwing back at me, the issue is, are we sincere about it? Because when we are, I'm so happy that I'm meeting you here today. And when we were in the primary school, we used to have not more than 7 to 11 commissioners. We used to have federal commissioners and state commissioners. We were not having ministers in our primary school days. It was state commissioner, federal commissioner. Now we have 24 ministries. Minister for this, minister of this, minister from this. And we're talking of reduction of cost of administration. Why are we looking at sacking the ordinary person? Why are we not using the issue of, we want to cut cost of administration and be sincere about it? In 1986, during the political debate under Professor Cookie, I was a copper then. That's when I was ending my service as a copper. And I presented a paper, even though it was handwritten. And I was talking of this idea of reduction of cost. And I said, Nigeria should go and adopt the parliamentary system. First, we're going to have a unicameral federal legislature, just like we have in states. Unicameral. Now, why should we are talking of reducing cost of administration, and we are still having a former governor who is now a serving minister, who is now a senator, and we are trying to cut costs. When our parents were fighting in Nigeria in the 60s and 50s, in the 1950s, nobody took politics as a job. Politics was not an occupation. My friends that had their fathers in the NCNC and so, they were able to feed their fathers because what they used to receive them was what they call honorarium. That's allowance. If you have sitting today, you receive allowance. But not like you pack millions of naira and you want to reduce cost of administration. We are not yet prepared. So I am not saying that we cannot do it. I look at UK. I think UK has about only 14 ministries. America is about other 15 or 24. Not up to the Nigerian number. And these are countries that run specialization. So what we need to do is first, let us do what Lee Kuan Yew did in Singapore. So what is good for this country? If we want to maintain this country and get it to work,
okay,
we have to make sacrifice.
Okay, Prof, we're going to talk about the burden of political offices and all that.
Yes.
But let's go back to the Oresanya report, which deals more with the public service. I mean, the civil servants and what have you, and all that.
Yes.
Won't what we are trying to do, won't it be like throwing the baby with the bath water? Because some argue that collapsing all this in a bid to save money may impede the efficiency of some of these agencies. More bureaucracy.
No. Why I say no is that I just looked at some of those ministries. Like there was a ministry of senior secondary school education. Why should there be a ministry or something like that, an agency in charge of senior secondary education, when we have a ministry of education? So we are going to have ministry of primary school education. No, there should be units. These should work as units under the central ministry. Because there's nothing new. You know, when we were in primary school, we didn't have this, what we call social media. But there's still other information and communication. When we were in primary school, we used to have commissioner for information and communication. And whatever we do, it is still under information and communication. Maybe there is a little bit of some more complexity. But these things could be handled under particular units under this ministry. But I had to rush up to the issue of the political office holders because that is, we are talking about reducing costs. I'm not against removing some HODs, removing some of these people. But if we really want to enter into what we are looking at, which is cutting cost administration, we should be sincere to ourselves.
So in other words, you're suggesting that part of the problem is that the top heaviness of administration and governance
in Nigeria. See, why should we have three ministers in the ministry? Simply to respect what they call the constitution. They want to respect the constitution, having three ministers in the ministry. And you know this better than myself. Because you have a minister of, minister from, and minister for.
I don't know about minister from, but I know.
So the problem we have is we are not being sincere to the nation to present this particular structure called Nigeria. Because if we cut the cost, why should, I don't want to use the president because he's not the president, but why should the former governor be receiving money as a former governor and all the allowances? Then he becomes a senator. He receives all the money as a senator. So, and we are trying to cut we are talking of cost of governance, we should cut it. And we should be real, we should be fair. We should go back to our, we're being historical. Because if we are being historical, let me tell you, we have been having reviews since independence. After the war, we had our brother, Jerome Udoji, review. That lasted for a long time. And then that's why everyone enjoyed it. Everybody enjoyed it. Local government, everybody enjoying it. We were having more money. People are now enjoying some public service. Then we went into the queue of 1983. And all that happened. And then we came with Decree 43 of 1988. That's the new one that killed the permanent secretary and brought in
the director general.
You see, but the question is this: that efficiency, that performance we are supposed to be getting, instead of the productivity or output growing, we are having it dwindling, so that we are not having that efficiency.
How do you react to what I've heard some people say, even politicians say that, look, we don't think that this government is really serious about implementing the recent report. They want to divert attention from the challenges of the poverty, the hunger in the country, the inflation. Is it something you think is true?
It's not impossible. Thinking is the right of every human being. I cannot stop the mind from, moving around, musing and all those things. But the issue is, I don't know how someone would give what he does not have. But that's by the way.
What do you mean someone giving what they don't have?
Let me leave it there for now. Because if I say there's a place I push it to, it becomes another problem. But what I'm trying to say is I do not know. I don't want to say that they're not serious. What is important is I want to see them go ahead and implement the report. And when they're going to implement it, let them implement it in concrete terms so that we see that they are sincere. It is time that it's going to bear out whether they are sincere or not sincere. For me, for now, let us give them the benefit of the doubt that they are being sincere. But if they don't start from the top, everything must start from the top. If they don't start from the top and reduce the cost of governance, then they just want to kill the poor. That's where maybe the politicians, those other people that are commenting may be right. Because we must start correcting things from the top.
But is there any way, you are a professor of government and public administration. From your studies, from what you know, is there any way that what they are going to do right now will impact immediately on the situation of things in the country, where a lot of families are unable to put 3 square meals on the table?
Oh, okay. If you come from that angle now, and you have caught me now. If you come from that angle, that is not going to. This is what they call superstructural dancing. Superstructural dancing. It's more of it's posturing now. This is the posturing part of it, because that is not going to impact on the common man. Because people are talking of job. I'm not afraid of job losses because it's not possible. It's not necessary. It will not work. The people that are going to lose jobs is like I mentioned about HODs. The elites would lose. Somebody being HOD.
Those that are supposed to, if they do the right thing, these are the people that should lose the job.
Yes.
Not the rank and file.
Yes, not the rank and file. The people that are going to lose ordinarily under normal circumstances. And most of these people have over-enjoyed this country. They have over-enjoyed this country. So let me tell you, if you remember the time of Idiabo, Buhari Idiabo, Idiabo was the man on the ground. I remember that in that place called Bender State then, Bender, there used to be a Bender State. Bender State cut off retirement age at 55. 55. But some people have changed their date of birth 10 times. And someone that is 70 years is writing 45 years. And we are losing so many spaces. So back to the issue, I am not looking at, if it's about the common man, certainly I don't know what he's going to gain from this reform. But ordinarily, if we should follow the principle, and that's why NLC and all the trade unions should come in, is that we are talking of cutting, because we are trying to follow the Bretton Woods recommendations, cutting cost of administration. That's what I'm looking at, cutting the cost of administration. If they want to cut the cost of administration, they should start from on top and begin to cut it. And then when they cut it, they put it into the services. That's what we need. Because these people, I mean, you're a former minister, you're a former this, you're a former that. You have so much in terms of allowances, huge deposits of allowances. And they still want to keep it, and they become senators, and they're still keeping it, and they released all this Ghana must go money, and they want to. So I don't want to talk of it's not going to impact on the life of the ordinary person, but it will be a good thing if they are going to be serious. They could start it small, not knowing that they're going to do a big thing. So let it happen.
Okay, let's move away directly from the Orosanya report, and I'm asking this question based on the fact that you are saying that from what you see, there'll be no direct impact on the ordinary person.
Yeah, positive impact on the ordinary person.
But there are challenges on the ground. The dollar is, it's almost 2,000. I mean, and we have this, so you arrest those that, the BDCs, you arrest this, you arrest that. What should this government be doing? What, in your opinion, should this government do right now to give a breather to Nigerians? Because this has become even bigger than big men and small men and
No, it is still about, I don't want to bring in class into this place, but it is still a class issue. It's still a class matter.
The challenges we have?
Yes, they are class, and the ordinary person, the ordinary Nigerian does not appear to understand that he is being destroyed. And we are now having only the top level and the underground people. So we don't have middle class any longer. We don't have a middle class. And that's a very big problem. So to that extent, because when you just mentioned the BDCs, what are they attacking the BDCs for? What are they attacking the BDCs for? These people are trying to survive. They are trying to survive. All these people, we are just increasing, we try to hit one person and somebody is enjoying, somebody saying, yes, they are punishing the Northerners, they are punishing the Easterners, they are punishing the Westerners. That is the way of the elite playing with the ordinary people. So, but having said that, my hope, as I told somebody last time, is that I cannot be in a craft or vessel or whatever and wish it to crash. So I don't wish this our craft or vessel or vehicle to crash. So I support the idea of Orosanya report implementation. But if we are looking at the bigger picture, which is cutting cost of administration, we should really face it. And we should face it by beginning to look at, the ministers, the senators, the members of the House of Reps, the governors, so that you not get money to put into service. Because there's any money that is spent the other place cannot go the other place. So that's what I want to look at in that regard. And it's left for the ordinary masses. I want us to go back to Kano State. There's a state called Kano State in Nigeria. The federal government had planned to take away Kano State from the NNPP, something like that. And the people of Kano went into the streets and sang their song and gave them an indicator that it's either you want us to all be alive or we are all dead. And everybody woke up. So the masses of Nigeria must begin to think seriously about whether they want to be alive or they don't want to be alive. But that's by the way. You see, there's this false consciousness that one day, if Obi is riding, a very big Escalade. One day, by the grace of God, from using a barrel, I will also be riding Escalade. That is what we call false consciousness. But that's by the way. So we need to, this country can be very, very great. If Biafra could make some effort in the 70s, in the 60s, from 67 to 97, 30 months, they were able to refine. We don't have a refinery in Nigeria now. Are you aware of that? There's no refining capacity in this country.
So let's look at those issues. And that was why I was asking, is the Orasoye report the most important thing to face now, or should the government be doing some other things to turn the country around?
They should do Orasoye report. They should do other things to turn the economy around. If they want to do Orasoye report, we cannot take it away from them. That's why they are the government. But they should also do other things. I just looked at, because when I look at the fact that they said NNPC and what do you call it, and Dangote refineries, they don't have crude. I was just asking myself, what is happening to this economy? They don't have crude to refine. And every day we are hearing about people stealing our coal, stealing everything from Nigeria, and disappearing to other parts of the world. And we continue to ask yourself, are we human beings? Biafra refined oil, including aviation fuel, 67 to 1970. They were doing all those things. They produced their own weapons. We have people who produce AK-47 in Nigeria. People produce it here. Why can't we, the military-industrial complex in Nigeria, make use of those good hands in the north, in the west, in the east? There are people that are like that. Why do we have to bring them and shoot them? We have people that are doing, whatever refinery. Yes, you call it crude. Why don't you and get them working and get them improved? Everything that is done through marketing. Somebody must support what we are doing. So we have so much to do. Babani says so much to say. So we have so much to do. We are not yet taking off. That's my problem. So Orasoye may be good, but if it becomes the first step towards 1,000 miles, that will be good. But I hope it's going to be the first step. But instead of that, we are not talking of which state to win 2027. We are not looking at these realities. And part of it is that because the masses are not looking like in Kano. The masses of Nigeria must borrow sense from Kano. When they borrow sense from Kano, then everybody is going to be afraid. Both of us used to read, there's this man that was popular in our secondary school days as a novel. One of them was Want to Stay Alive, $50,000. Hardly chase. We have to begin to think of this idea of, I'm a Catholic. Today we had to read about Joseph and the brothers. They didn't want to kill Joseph, but they made him into a slave. So which one is he? When they put him out of the well and sold him, were they seeing him as a human being? Because making him a slave was also like sending him to death. So it's about our people. Are we ready to live or die? And for me, the subnational states must begin to wake up to their responsibilities. But they cannot wake up if the people, the population, the individuals, the citizens do not understand that they are citizens. We are not subjects. The problem with Nigeria is that instead of seeing ourselves as citizens, we are seeing ourselves as subjects. And that's subject mentality is our problem.
But we can't say that the entire problem is just the leadership.
It is.
How about the followership?
It is. The followership, that's why I said that the people are not seeing themselves as citizens. Both of us read about ancient Greece and Athens. A citizen is a citizen because he is a member. We are not seeing ourselves as members. We are seeing ourselves as marginals.
Our duties won't be just about protesting. Are there no other ways we can, show that we are citizens?
No, you invited me into
using our vote?
No, not just our vote.
Conversations?
I agree with you. This is our dear. At this level now, we are no longer talking of, protesting. But we are talking of real leadership, not leadership in terms of being in government. Yes, if we have the opportunity, we are going to do that. But about our being able to get capacity, quality participation in what is going on. We are supposed to be participants in governance. That's what we have been taught in democracy, in the West, in other parts of the world, where people have genuine democracy. So I am not talking of protest. I'm talking of the fact that we have to begin to learn to have round pegs in round holes and square pegs in square holes. Part of why our brother Goodluck Ebele Jonathan could not or failed to implement the report under his watch was because of fear. Will. Our current president has will, but the question of the will is, where is it directed at or to. These are the issues. But it is left for the people to get them to be properly directed. Because everybody in life has fear. Even those who say they don't have fear. Everybody has fear. But it depends on whether the fear is genuine or not.
So finally, what will you leave for the people, the government, as we look at what government wants to do with this report?
For me, I don't think there's anything too bad about this report. What is important is to hold them by their words and hold them by the major aim, which is cutting costs of administration. When they turn it against the masses, then that becomes a problem. But if they really face the cost of administration, you will now know the meaning of what they are doing, because it is possible. All those people, if you move people from, let me call it, federal safety and EFCC, federal safety to the police, and EFCC to the police, and not since IPC to the police, it's not a problem. There will be units. For this things have been under the police all these years. Public Complaints Commission, maybe to the police. You get particular units that will be solving those problems under the particular office, so that we reduce that. But that's not even the problem of Nigeria. That is not the problem of Nigeria, because removing those areas will just remove some elite from their offices. But the question is, are we ready for the work that is to be done?
Are we ready for the work that is to be done? I've been speaking with Professor Jude Udenta, Professor of Government and Public Administration. He's also a lecturer at the university, at the Enugu State University of Technology, ESUT, in Enugu. I must thank you for coming on our show.
We thank God.
Don't go away. The Signature Show continues as we stay on the Oresonya Report.